Good morning. I'm Sandy Cashmar, Executive Director, extending a welcome from Central Minnesota Manufacturers Association and from Tri-State Manufacturers Association. For the past several weeks, my office has partnered with MPMA to bring you webinar content that is especially relevant for manufacturers during these unusual times. Thank you for joining us today for Session 6, featuring a very timely discussion on boosting employee morale. Welcome.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Good morning, everyone. This is Steve Kalina, the President and CEO of the Minnesota Precision Manufacturing Association, MPMA. I'll continue to recommend that all companies connect with other similar businesses and utilize Medical Alley and Minnesota Chamber. MPMA is also working on a platform for its members to connect for this purpose. We need to prepare for our labor forces to be drastically diminished with little or no notice. Whether you need resources or you need work, it's imperative to start that communication now and build those relationships so we can more easily shift production or resources on a moment's notice. If you can move to the next slide, please, Michelle. And actually, legislation is currently being proposed to limit liability on manufacturers that potentially produce defective product during the rush to support COVID-19 needs. Next slide. On a legislative note, the governor has tasked his agencies to determine best practices so non-essential businesses can look to reopen. Most of the focus will continue to be on issues like the rent and mortgage payment assistance, school employee wage payment, additional resources for the healthcare sector, and they may also look at additional ways to address the economic challenges. As you probably know, the state legislature went back to work yesterday in limited capacity. Some non-COVID issues like a bonding bill will also be on the table, but it's heavily reduced priority list compared to the agendas that both bodies had a month ago. It's expected that some special sessions will be necessary after the May 18th constitutionally mandated adjournment. And just a reminder that you can find these resources and the webinar PowerPoints and recordings on MPMA and Tri-State's resource pages. You can also find other helpful information and resources that we've compiled. And on to our main topic. So Michelle, you can go to the next slide. Now that we've established some new norms related to the virus, companies are shifting focus to workload levels, business challenges, how to keep their employees safe and keep their employees busy. With so many unknowns at the executive and leadership level, imagine how many more unknowns there are for employees. Morale is a top concern for companies right now. Michelle Neal, a business growth consultant with Enterprise Minnesota, is going to share some great ideas and innovative approaches to strengthening your team's morale in uncharted waters. We're also excited that we're able to share with you insights from Allison Wagner, HR, Safety and Communications Manager of DCI Incorporated, Kelly Hansen, Vice President of HR at Park Industries, Lori Tapany, President of Wyoming Machine, and Charlo Meyer, Director of HR and Organizational Development at Argard. Michelle?
Thanks, Steve. And thanks to you too, Sandy, and everyone at MPMA, TSMA, and CMMA. This is a great opportunity for us to reach out and to provide information to those that are attending on this webinar. You know, Enterprises Minnesota's mantra is to help manufacturing enterprises grow profitably. And in these times when COVID is just rocking our world, we want to be able to reach out and be there for our constituents and stakeholders and our clients to be able to help them in these times of uncharted waters. And so right now we know that we are feeling anxiety, uncertainty, fear. These feelings are most likely surfacing for most employees and in homes across the state of Minnesota. And whether you're currently working at full capacity, or maybe you're at partial shifts, or unfortunately maybe you're closed and have had to temporarily off employees, we all have had to change our daily life activities, really. And so now a top concern for many manufacturers is employee morale. And you, those that are listening, can play an important, essential role in managing on how you can boost morale for your organizations. So today we're going to talk about boosting morale and keeping that strong. So you'll learn ideas from those from Agard, DCI, Park Industries, and Wyoming Machine. You'll learn creative ways to help ease those tensions and hopefully be able to bring them back to an element of social engagement. Take some of these tips and apply them, and hopefully that even some of the smallest tips can make a big impact for you and your organizations. I was doing some research on employee engagement, and this quote came up that I thought was very apropos, and that is from Kevin Cruz. He says, employee engagement is the emotional commitment that the employees has to the organization and its goals. And I think right now it's so important for employees to be able to connect, and they're connecting to you, organizational leaders. So today we are going to share some ways and keys to boosting morale. This will include everything from communication, planning, including those employees in your planning, showing compassion and empathy, maybe things that we haven't done on a regular basis or not enough of. Obviously keeping everyone safe, maybe even adding some fun and humor to your work areas, and then we will offer some basic resources for this as well. So to kick it off, when I was speaking with many of our panelists, every single one of them brought communication to the top. They all agreed that communication was so critical and so important. In fact, one of them was even said, communicate, communicate, communicate. We can't over communicate. Recently, I spoke to a client who unfortunately has had to temporarily lay off their entire staff, and yet they are still trying to connect to those employees through mailings and offering ways to keep in touch. And another client that has laid off people is making it a goal to try to contact 10 employees a day. So continuing that reach out. But Allison, you had shared with me how you are communicating with folks at DCI. So why don't you go ahead and share with those folks listening about some of the things that you're doing there.
We've communicated in a lot of different ways. One, we have several employees who have indicated that they can't come into the office. They don't feel comfortable being in the manufacturing environment. So we communicate with them either by email or phone every single day. We have really implemented a lot of video meetings so that people don't feel that they are not seeing anybody anymore. We're trying to do some fun events with that too. We have changed our language, and we are no longer calling it social distancing. We are calling it physical distancing, because we want people to understand that these social connections are still really important. So anything that we can do. Postings are about 3 to 4 a week. We have over communicated on anything. If the employees have heard anything in the media, we want to make sure that they know there's a resource where they can kind of check this stuff out. We deal with a lot of misinformation around here, and we try to make sure that there's not anything that they have to worry about. And the other part is being visible. So we walk the floor often for the people that have to be here every day. And all employees have my email and my cell phone number. So if they come up with something at the last minute, they can call and always hear somebody if they need to, even at 2:30 in the morning with our second shift.
Great. And I know that visibility is so important. So as you said, email, voicemails, being out on that floor, and then you as a contact person. That's awesome that they all have your email and personal cell phone. Now you are a union environment, correct?
We are, and we are extremely fortunate to have our union backing us up all the way. They get copies of all our postings. They have input to our postings if they'd like. Today we implemented checking all employees' temperatures as they come into the facility. And the union made it clear that they support this 100% for the employees' safety. So it's good to have a good partnership with your union.
Yeah, excellent. So thank you so much, Allison, for sharing about that. And you're right, it is that relationship that you've already built up with your union organization to be able to have that communication. In addition, I think that I've heard from Charlo that you actually have a unique position that you have on staff at AGARD. And so I'm wondering if you could tell more about how you've utilized her.
So we do have a unique position at AGARD. We have a chaplain on staff, and so she is not currently in the building. She is working from home, but she is checking in with people via text or email or calls, but she's really just communicating And I think she kind of has a rotation of who to make sure that she's catching everyone. She's found over the time the relationships with people who likes to have a call, who likes to have text, etc. And so she's still communicating with each one of them. You know, people are working from home, and that can be isolating. And so they need some support, and then people that are here that still do come into work, they need support as well. So yeah, you know, we have a chaplain to do it, but I would also encourage, you know, anyone could do that. Supervisors, HR staff, just reaching out and staying connected.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Charlo. You know, it is important to stay connected, and another way to stay connected is by sharing customer stories. So Allison, I think you had an interesting customer story to tell us about some of the products that you offer at DCI.
Well, immediately after Governor Walz's stay-at-home order, we got a contact from one of our clients that we've worked with several times, and they are making hand sanitizers. So we had to reduce our time to get things out. Our products can take anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks to make. We had to reschedule some stuff and make sure that we could get them out to them as soon as possible. We have also had contact from people who are making pharmaceutical equipment. So those are now coming in. So it's a different world and a different focus. We also support the food and dairy business, and that's the vast majority of our business right now, but everything else right now is geared towards COVID. I long for hours where I don't have to say the word.
Yeah, right. All right, thanks for sharing. You know, unfortunately, Lori Tapany from Wyoming Machine was unable to be with us live today, but one of the things that she shared is that it's so important to share customer testimonials, customer stories, and help your employees understand the why. Why are we doing what we're doing, and how does it impact others? So whether it's in agriculture, any type of essential business, healthcare, she had actually shared that a part that they are making at Wyoming Machine is actually going into many of the ventilators that are being produced. And so she loves helping employees connect to their company vision and their purpose. She also shared that those one-on-one and small group meetings were so important because you could find out exactly where people are at. She wasn't aware that there actually were a couple of her employees that didn't believe that this was even a thing. And so she had to actually tell them, yes, COVID, this is a thing. And so she was sharing with them some of the safety protocols and things that they needed to do. Now, Kelly, you've also been leading a large communication effort at Park Industries. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Thanks, Michelle. So one of the big things that we did right from the start was create a communication portal. And what that is via SharePoint. We were brand new and using SharePoint as an organization, but wanted to find something that could be central for all our associates and something they could access even when they were not at work. And SharePoint is something they can download and access via mobile devices. And so whether they have computers or internet at home, we all pretty much have mobile devices. And so this portal, as we called it, our COVID-19 communication portal, hosts all our information, whether it is daily updates from our COVID task force, such as exposures within our community, to safety protocols our associates could utilize, all the way to things like our communications from our co-presidents to health resources for their benefits, what the CDC is communicating, as well as the Minnesota Department of Health. It was really something that some may think is difficult, but I can tell you that if I, as an HR professional, could build it over a weekend, I guarantee you any child or teenager, student out there that's looking for a development opportunity could do it probably in an hour. So it is very user-friendly to be able to build, and we continue to use it where we've had over 11,000 site visits from our 280 associates over the last 30 days. So it's definitely getting utilized and viewed by our associates as well as their spouses or significant others at home.
Awesome. That is just great. Well, I'm not sure if I'm up for the challenge, but I suppose I could try to see if I could build a portal. So thank you very much, Kelly. You know, in addition to communicating, our panelists have talked about really how they are trying to get employee input. And so Lori at Wyoming Machines, they are using MS Teams. They've had it downloaded on their phones, on tablets, on computers. They've actually eliminated all meetings and are currently, you know, instead of walking across the floor, they're able to just send a message or use the video function on MS Teams, and that has been really great. They actually are thinking that they might just use that going forward as well. They also talked about asking their welding department what things that they could do, and so those welders were actually able to come up with different alternatives for shifts and how they could work better in this environment. So Kelly, you've also received feedback from your employees, helping get a better understanding from where they're at. What are you doing?
Absolutely. One, I would reiterate, we are using Teams as well. We had just started to launch it as a company and as before COVID started, so it's very new for us. Similar to Wyoming Machine, and all our shop floor associates love it. And they love that they can chat and get access real time. But some other things that we've done, we've implemented surveys for our associates. As all this was starting, we needed to know who was going to have challenges with shifts. So maybe their children were in school and now with the distance learning, they needed flexibility. Maybe their significant other or spouse was in the medical field working long hours. And so we sent out quick surveys to say, are you having challenges currently, or do you foresee future challenges? And if so, what kind of flexibility can we implement for you to allow you still to work, but on a time that works best for you and your family? We also used the opportunity to do some videos from our co-presidents out to our associates. So not only were they receiving email updates or via our portal, they could really see the compassion and empathy our co-presidents felt for them. And we got significant feedback from our associates on how much they appreciated the personal outreach from our co-presidents.
Nice. That's great that even from the co-presidents reaching down. Now, speaking of that leadership team, you also told me about a task force that you're leading to try to help in communication and getting cross-functional leadership. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. I have to concur with Allison. COVID is not something I want to continue to hear in my vocabulary much longer. But I was given the opportunity very early on to lead our COVID response for Park. And one of the first things we did was create our own COVID task force. And what that is we have a number of us that meet daily. It's myself, our VP of Manufacturing, our VP of Customer Support, Director of IT, Safety Manager, and then our HR business partners. And what we do is we meet daily at 3 o'clock. Originally it was set because that time worked for us, and in the end it worked out really well with Governor Welch's updates at 2, the White House Task Force update at 5. And we've used those meetings to talk about anything from what are the safety protocols that we're putting in place to ensure the safety of our associates, so the social distancing, the cleaning procedures that needed to be implemented, what are our common use areas that we needed to have very specific procedures in place for, to what are we doing to ensure we're thinking about the overall wellness of our associates from a mental, physical, emotional perspective. Are we giving them all the information they need on a timely basis? And then just use it as an opportunity for us to understand what legislative updates were impacting our business and how could we respond adequately and quick enough, as well as reaching out to all our associates. And so we've used that as an opportunity to, one, connect in all the areas of the business. We did not have much of a remote workforce. Honestly, we had one person that telecommuted prior to COVID, and now anybody that is not within our shop operation is all remote. So a big part of it was, what do we have to do for our IT infrastructure to set us up to be able to allow for these transitions? So that was another big piece of that task force.
Yeah, nice, and great gains that you've had with those task force. And I know many folks that I've talked to and many manufacturers have also created a task force, and that's a way to be able to be inclusive, get cross-functionality, and get into the organization. So we have a lot of information, and our time is running short here. But one of the things that Lori had mentioned was just the fact that they've seen an improvement in their culture and how they're being more respectful. And compassion and empathy are extremely important now more than ever. And so I think it is a time for us to step up and maybe use some of those muscles that we haven't in the past. So Charlo, if you could share with us a little bit about what has been going on at AGARD with your approach to team members.
So yeah, so we just are really approaching it that we want to have a lot of grace for people. This is an unprecedented time for all of us, and people are responding to it differently. Some people are just not comfortable being here. Some people are okay and they're willing to travel, and you know, like some of the other panelists have said, you know, the flexibility of shifts, and we've had some daycare issues, and so you have all these, everyone has all these different situations, and just being understanding, not maybe following every rule that we used to about, you know, kind of this is exactly what the policy is, just having some flexibility and patience with everybody. And then again, you know, our leadership team and our chaplain being connected with people, that helps those relationships and to be able to talk through those different instances that come up.
Yeah. And you know, here's something that you had said that I thought was just so important, is that as leaders, we need to show grace, compassion, and understanding. And I think that sums it up right there. So thank you so much. I'll just leave this up for a quick moment, but some of the things that AGARD is doing is that for every single one of their messages, they're starting out with some key points about safety and connecting to their employees. And then every message ends with something similar. So again, that will be available after the webinar is over. So in addition to compassion and empathy, we also need to look at safety. And we know that many of you have changed ways of how you're doing things. Wyoming Machine actually, you know, moved some filing cabinets so that they could be made available at a different way. Central McGowan, I just talked to Al over at Central McGowan yesterday, and they are creating safety kits that they're sending to all employees, whether they're in the operation or working from home. And those kits include sanitizer and masks. And speaking of masks, Pequot Tool and Manufacturing, they actually purchased a mask for every single one of their employees and family members, and those are to be worn on a volunteer basis. So again, safety is at the top of our list. We've heard how manufacturers are focused on cleaning services and creating sanitation plans, modifying staffing plans and changes, eliminating overlap of shifts, and all things that we're trying to do to help keep people safe. But in addition to the safety and the seriousness of it, we also want to add some fun and humor. And I know, you know, not to pick on you over at DCI, but I've heard that you guys like a lot of food. And unfortunately, you know, maybe some of the food opportunities now are a little less prevalent. I know that some companies are really trying to support their community and bring in things, but you also have a little element of humor, Allison. So why don't you share what's going on at DCI?
We do have some humor. We have created some t-shirts that are coming out that are a little humorous and will bring us all together. We're trying to get funny stories from people's home environment. For example, I have a lovely robin that attacks my windows all day long, and my dog just loves to interject in the middle of any conference call I'm having. So, you know, most everybody here has heard Ozzy bark during a call. I happen to be in the office today. We're running about 50-50 home and office. So we had a lot of the beginning when people started to work from home of the shop saying, we can't do that. You know, you guys are so lucky. So we've tried to share some of the stories that it's not as easy to work from home as you think it is, with kids coming in and out all the time, and dogs and pets, and unexpected noises. You miss your friends and everything. We actually had somebody come into the office last week who just burst into tears to be surrounded by people again. She just had she'd been out for a full week, and she said, it's just nice to see people. It's not as easy to work from home as you think it is. You miss your 3 screens, things like that. So we're trying to make some fun out of it and make everybody know that all of us are having some sort of sacrifice in this situation. And let's make fun of the stuff that goes wrong, because some stuff is going to go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I just think that humor and realness is important, right? We show some of our vulnerabilities, and then everyone feels like they're connected.
Well,
Kelly, you've also, pardon?
sorry, I was going to say our plant manager actually put footprints in front of our HR assistant so nobody gets too close to her. And he actually cut him out of tape himself, which just amazed us.
There you go, cutting out footprints. So we get creative, right? Kelly, I think you guys got creative with a little challenge. What's the challenge?
Yeah, great question. We're currently running On Your Bright Side campaign, so trying to focus on the positive, and we're asking all our associates to share pictures of 3 different types of wellness: intellectual wellness, physical wellness, and emotional wellness. And through that, our associates get to vote on which pictures inspire them the most, and then there'll be prizes given as a result. And it's been great to see how associates are finding ways to find the wellness despite our challenges.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I know I just participated in a challenge for walking every day. My name got put in a hat, and I won $40 gift certificate to a local restaurant. So that was pretty cool. So keep those challenges going and contests and helping people engage too. So here's just a visual of the table tents and the email signature that they're using at DCI. And then also the cute t-shirt that was made, just a way to bring some levity to the organization and help them feel like they're all part of the DCI family. In addition to those types of things to reach out, we also want to make sure that you are offering resources. I know, Charlo, you guys have been doing some things in terms of additional training. So you want to just quickly talk about that before our time's running out here?
Sure. So we try to get information. We use SharePoint too, so we try to get information out on some additional resources that we've really always had, but just like we have an on-demand fitness that's part of our wellness or part of our health insurance, and just getting that out. We actually got a free code. We do lunch and learns every month, and people go to them and have lunch, and they're recorded. So we're still continuing those. They're just recorded. So trying to just keep some normalcy as well. Of course, our chaplain is a wonderful resource. And most of your benefit providers, your health insurance, your ancillary insurances, they typically have some type of EAP in there. So just promoting that, because they would be by telephone or by web anyways. That's how you would utilize those. And so they would be just a great resource for people, because obviously people are going to need that during these times.
Yeah, actually, we can't overlook those well-being of our employees, right? And so this is kind of drastic change in our work and school and life, and it's just had a big impact. And so I know, Kelly, you and I had a quick conversation about mental, physical, and emotional health, and you had just recently been involved in another conversation. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. So I recently participated in a Visage webinar that Patrick Lencioni was the keynote speaker, which is just an inspirational leader if you have not heard him speak before. But he talked about the 2 key things as leaders that we need to be thinking about. Number 1 is how we lead smart, so continuing to think strategy in particular, and 2, creating a healthy organization. And creating a healthy organization is so important today when you think about the well-being of your associates. And probably one of the things that resonated with me the most that I shared with Michelle is that he made the comment that you need to inspire by being human, being vulnerable, sharing with your associates or your teammates the struggles you're having, because it's real for all of us, regardless of the strength that we bring to our organization. But along with that is to remain calm. Our associates need more than ever to know that as leaders that we're walking it alongside them, but we can really manage through this together.
Yeah, thanks so much. And even though there is a lot of anxiety, uncertainty, fear, and not knowing what's next out there, I believe that all of you that are listening are committed to your employees, right? And so it's important that you remain focused and you are committed to your employees. And I know that you're trying to make the best of the situation. So as HR professionals, leaders, presidents, owners, I know you got this. So go make a difference. On behalf of myself, Enterprise Minnesota, thanks again to Steve and Sandy, and then to all of our panelists. Thanks for your time and effort for Allison, Kelly, Charlo, and Lori.
Well, thanks, Michelle. We've got a little bit of time here. I know if people need to cut out at the 11 o'clock hour here, that's fine, but we've got a little bit of time here if people want to ask any questions. And if you want to submit questions, you can go ahead on the chat function. I've got one question here that one of the attendees asked if the panel are planning for a ramp up after May 4th. Obviously, we don't really know what will happen after that, if the governor is going to continue with the stay at home or open things up. Are you guys expecting things to ramp up workload wise, or more people to be coming back, or are you kind of just waiting to see?
This is Allison. We're fully employed right now, so we're not planning a ramp up. We're hoping maybe more orders come in as people get through this, but realistically, we are fully employed right now, and this has not impacted that at all. So that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, we're in the same situation too. We have all of our staff working if they're able to.
How about, I know I heard a manufacturer the other day talk about the pressure employees feel between the employer and the government telling them how essential they are to be at work, and then their family and friends maybe giving them a little peer pressure that, hey, you should really be staying home and keeping, taking care of yourself and your family. Are you guys sensing that employees are feeling that kind of pressure and pull from both sides?
This is Allison again. We actually haven't seen that. We haven't seen a lot of pressure for employees to stay at home unless they're dealing with an underlying medical condition. We've had some family members really push our employees to stay at home for those reasons. But otherwise, almost to the person, and this is going back to that humor side, they're just thankful to be out of the house.
We're in the same spot at Park as Allison. We got some really hard workers dedicated to our mission. It's only been those that are immune compromised that we've worked through different arrangements for, but other than that, we're not having those kind of struggles at all.
Yeah, we're very similar as well. So we have people that travel around the country, and if someone is not comfortable traveling, and we have had people mention that they're not, they do not have to travel. So we only send people out on the road that are interested in doing so.
That is the same with us too.
Hi, Steve. This is Liz Moscatelli from the Vadnais Heights Economic Development. Thanks for letting me come on today. But I had a question about if anyone has any safety procedures that you've put in place that you would be willing to share, so we could share with some of our manufacturers as well. We were talking about that recently on a call, and once the stay-at-home is lifted and we have more employees there, what are some of the safety precautions? And I think the state is going to be sending some down, but what do you have any in particular that you've been upgrading?
We did already have a pandemic policy in place before this started. We did update that with some decontamination processes in the case we ever get a positive. We have not had any positive as of yet. We did implement temperature checking as of today. Every employee has to come in, must have a temperature below 100 to come to work. And so that has been a major part of it. We are cleaning constantly. We have one of our janitors who, when the 6:30 shift starts, they go into the break room, clean it all down. They clean down all the vending machines. A lot of our supplies on the floor are in vending machines. Those are being cleaned frequently. We have limited access to the N95 masks because they are required in our business. And we had people who, would throw it away after every single use, and we've asked them to use them more cautiously so that we're not wasting them. So a lot of those types of activities here.
Okay, thank you.
So I wanted to thank Michelle Neal of Enterprise Minnesota for presenting today, as well as Allison Wagner of VCI, Kelly Hansen of Park, and Charlo Meyer of AGARD. We wish you, your families, and your work families all the best. Next Tuesday, our next webinar will be on upcoming grants from the Department of Labor's pipeline program, which has a May 8th deadline, and then the DEED's MJSP automation grants. Both just great programs. I know it's a tough time to start thinking about that, but if a lot of companies are using PPP grants right now, I know companies talking about, well, I'll just put people to work on continuous improvement and cleaning, which is great for a few days, but I think it's important we engage the employees on what's next and looking forward. So taking advantage of some of those grants and training programs right now are just great opportunities to engage your employees and help keep them motivated. So appreciate everyone joining us. Wish you all the best and look forward to hopefully seeing you face to face soon. Take care.